First of all, I would like to say to Ustad Ruba, thank you very much for coming in here today. This is, for me, is a blessed day. You spoke about a topic which is very dear topic to me, and I studied this topic about the missionaries in Africa. But actually, for us, we cover East Africa, especially the Swahili coast, Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, and Congo. And I'm a Swahili language speaker. I'm a fluent speaker for Swahili language. Everything you mentioned, it is still happening until today, from telling African children to close their eyes and put gifts on the table, and then asking to open their eyes again and tell them this is, gifts from Jesus Christ, to penetrating unsuccessfully Swahili communities in Zanzibar and Lamu, and Kilwa on the Swahili coast. But Shabab al-Muslim, the Muslim youth, they play games sometimes with these missionaries. They tell us, okay, we are Christians, and they get paid some money, they get some food, a ration for the whole month, and the next day, the missionary staff or officials see these Muslims the next day in the morning, early morning, doing their Fajr prayer, and they're still on their religion. So to penetrate some societies in East Africa, Muslim societies, it is very difficult. And I agree with you on the topic you mentioned, as people sometimes, without mentioning any country, from the Gulf region, they visit East. I'm talking about the areas where I know. I'm talking about East Africa, and then they say, shout, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah," and then they just walk away. Did they dig a well for them? Did they build a school? Is there sort of a society development plan? Is there sort of supporting the SMEs for poverty, sustainability programs? There are no programs there. للأسف الشديد. In Oman, we have a charity actually, and we're doing a good job. Alhamdulillah, I'm not saying perfect. Where mostly we're doing in Zanzibar and some East African countries. We build schools there, and we make sure these societies, any society where we build schools, we make sure we take the youngsters, either male and females, and we resend them to schools in Oman. So they go to the ibtidaiya, thanawiyya, I think that's elementary and high school, and they go to one of the colleges. And we did a study. These youngsters, when they go back to East Africa, and especially with a high rate of unemployment, they get the best. Sometimes they do the best business ever, the best business practice, and they succeed in their life because we develop those societies. But I agree with you. We still really need a great job to do there. The best organized, if I may say, the Christian missionaries in some areas they are better organized. And as you mentioned, they have their own airplanes, their own motorcade, cars, latest models. Between the year, I did a study here on the atrocities of missionaries. King Leopold II, he presented himself, King Leopold II of Belgium, he represented himself as a leader for some time of the Christian world, and he was eager to bring the benefit of Christianity and Western civilization to the Congo, where he ruled between 1885 until 1908. Actually, the Free State of Congo, as it was called at that time, by then, it was owned by him. And he wrote a long letter to the missionaries in Africa about bringing the advancement of Christianity and Western civilization to Congo. What was the result? In the period of 23 years, he killed not less than 10 million people there. So it is very sad what's going on in Africa, and how Africa has been used as a ground for some, I would say, radical Christian missionaries. and they use it even worse to they teach children and in churches about Arab slave trade. I mean, I always say, if I write anything, I always say the people who are involved in the slave trade of the Indian Ocean. I mean, I would say the nations of the Indian Oceans were the Arabs, Indians, Persians, Europeans. I mean, even Africans themselves. But believe it or not, in the churches, schools, or even government schools in Tanzania, until today, they teach them Arab were the only people who enslaved you and sold you as a slaves. And this has been used even as a political propaganda during election campaigns in Tanzania by the political party Chama Cha Mapinduzi, CCM, the revolution political party. So they accuse the opposition. They tell people, you know what, if you're going to win, if the opposition are going to win the elections, they're going to bring Arabs here with chains and they're going to chain you. And what happens when ruling party, as usual, steal the elections? What are the first countries they travel to? They travel to Oman and the UAE, begging for money, and that money wouldn't go to build schools or infrastructure. It will go to the pockets of these politicians there. I wrote once a reply. I'll just make this short. I wrote once a reply to somebody online. I said to him, I advise you to watch an interesting BBC history film documentary, which was created by late Professor Ali Al Mazrou'i, who is a distinguished academic, a prolific scholar, and a political commentator on African politics and political Islam. And there is an interesting episode titled The Africans, a Triple Heritage, a Clash of Cultures, where he says, and I quote, when imperial Europeans arrived in our continent, Africa, they came with Victorian prudishness. Victorian prudishness in Arabic means al-iffa al-victoriya. The missionaries proceeded to cover up naked African breasts. They even devised special clothes to emphasize African female curves. Now we know the naked ape is not African, but the European in Africa. No wonder we are confused. End of quotation. In this episode, late Professor Ali Al-Mazrou'i, Al-Marhum Ali Al-Mazrou'i, mulled over the difficulty of what to do about the proliferation of bare-chested Western tourists on African beaches, saying that it was no wonder Africans are culturally confused, having been led to believe the naked ape was African. Now they see that he is European. My brothers and sisters, to understand more even about Africa, I strongly advise you to watch 9 episodes of a BBC documentary for Professor Al-Mazrou'i called The Africans, a Triple Heritage, a clash. The Africans, a triple heritage, where it talks about 3 topics: Islam, Christianity, and slavery in Africa. And it is sad that missionaries can play around. Africa for them is a playground, and there have been some cases where I read of sexual abuses for children. I think that was in Kenya or Rwanda. It was one of those countries. My brothers and sisters, please forgive me for taking longer than expected. It's almost midnight here. I waited for 2 hours to come in and speak here. Sister Aruba, I watched a couple of clips from your YouTube channel. Very, very interesting. It is exactly the topics we're discussing here. Jazakum Allah khairan.
Jazakallah khair. I mean, I'm so sorry that I talk too much, and then we have all these side talks that we had, and it took a long time until you come online. So Jazakallah khair for your patience as well. May Allah bless you.